Welcome to the Modernize/Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome back to Modernize/Die, CFML News Edition. It's February 11th, 2020, and this week I'm back, and I'm with Brad Wood.
Hey, good to be here.
Good to have you.
You want to try the high five thing again that Eric and I did last week, or I don't know if that'll work this time.
No, a little different this week, but it's worth a shot.
Different continents or something like that.
For sure. Well, thanks for joining me. Hope everyone enjoyed last week's live show, which is a bit different from normal. But it was,
they're all live. It just feels more live when we're in the same room together.
Yep, exactly. Time zones don't have to mess with the timey-wimey stuff. Anyways, so welcome back. First, I just want to thank our sponsor, Ortus Solutions. So, Ortus Solutions helps with a lot of different things. We do a lot of training, everything, but a big push lately is for legacy. A lot of Cold Fusion shops have a lot of legacy code, and we spend a lot of our time helping them migrate that legacy, trying to get out of those chains of the monolith. So whether it's modern tooling or modern frameworks, we can help you with that. So if you're looking for some help there, definitely reach out to us at Ortus Solutions, and we can try and free you from those chains of legacy code.
We can free you.
Yep, for sure. So let's get into the news and events. So Adobe Roadshows, we got some more information from them. So last week, you guys announced there was 5 locations in their blog post they released. Keisha released a blog post and gave more information on the locations for each of the venues, but San Francisco was missing from that list. So I don't know if that's because they haven't got a location yet, or it may not go ahead. So currently we have Sacramento on the 11th, and that looks like it'll be at the Hook and Ladder Manufacturing Company. And then on the 18th, we'll be in San Jose at the District. The 19th will be in Los Angeles at Public School 213. So I'm not sure what that is. And then on the 20th, the Orange County will be at the Enclave Apartments Clubhouse. So those locations are going to be in our show notes, and they were posted on the Cold Fusion portal by Keisha as well. So if you guys want to get those, and if you are looking to go, please RSVP to keishore@adobe.com. And these are all scheduled for the 6 to 8 p.m., so it's going to be, a little more relaxed. They even said there might be a chilled beer for you. So if you guys are looking for a drink, there may be a drink. And I think you guys mentioned last week, they're hoping to get some 2020 boxes available so you guys can play with them actually at the Roadbox itself. So that sounds pretty cool.
So have we asked Kishore about that San Francisco date? Have we reached out to him on that?
No, I just looked at the blog post this morning, so we'll have to check with him and see. So we'll try and get confirmation for you.
Where's that blog post at? I'm on the community portal right now.
It's in the show notes in the blog section.
What? Oh, okay. I was looking at the show notes and their news and events. I didn't see it.
So today is February the 11th, which means there's one today in Sacramento. So if you guys in Sacramento, enjoy it. We'll see if we can reach out to some of those people who are attending. So if you attended one, please let us know what you thought of it, and we'll let everybody else know about next week's as well. So if the San Francisco one does go ahead, as previously mentioned, that would be on the 17th. So I assume that would be next Monday if they're going to do that. So we'll try and make sure they make a blog post on that. So reach out, look on the portal. That's where most of the data we see comes around. So coldfusion.adobe.com is the portal there. But yeah, the last blog post we saw did not have that one listed.
I found the post. I see it's back from February 6th.
Yeah, so last week. So
yeah, they must have removed the San Francisco one. Interesting. Sorry, people from San Francisco. You have to drive up to Sacramento. It's only a few hours.
Yeah, but you leave now, you might make it with traffic.
California traffic.
Yep. Okay. Well, so next on our list, Fusion Reactor 8.3 was released.
Woohoo!
So just for those of you who are actually watching live right now, they're right after this live stream is their live stream, so they're going to be streaming on YouTube, basically at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So right after we're done here. So if you're watching this after the fact, you guys can probably check out the recording. Hopefully they'll have that recorded and on their YouTube channel as well.
Yep. I believe that's Michael Fluitt, and I think Charlie Earhart is on that as well.
Yep, I believe so. So they should be going live here in about 50 minutes. But do you want to tell us a little bit about what's in 8.3?
Well, from what I hear, it has CPU alerting. It has some improved event snapshot functionality for Fusion users, and I think there's even some cloud features in there. Apparently they have a light theme or a dark theme, which I think is kind of funny. I always
Everyone's
just
doing
default.
that.
I know everybody has a dark theme. That's pretty cool. I guess you like the light theme. Is that what I hear?
Depends on what I'm doing. On my computer, I like light. On my phone, I usually use dark.
Okay.
That way at night, I don't have to worry about my eyes being blinded.
Yeah. And I know they've also been redoing like their docs, kind of like rebuilding them all from scratch to reorganize them and have a lot of stuff updated. So I think that's kind of been an ongoing effort along with the 8.3 release. I need to get some numbers. I was talking with Michael Fluitt from Fusion Reactor the other day, and he mentioned that they've seen a lot of increase in CommandBox usage with Fusion Reactor, which I was pretty excited about. So be interesting to see if I can get some numbers out of them on maybe some percentages of what people are deploying on. But
very cool.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, don't forget.
Oh, and a side note. If you're using CommandBox and the Fusion Reactor module, which I think Mikey actually is going to have a blog post on soon, you will automatically get the 8.3 release of Fusion Reactor the next time you restart your CommandBox servers. So just a little plug for the Fusion Reactor module. It's the easiest way to stay up to date. It just auto downloads the new jar if there's a new version up there, and you're just always on the latest and greatest.
Yep, and it's pretty cool too. Like messing with agents and Java arguments and whatever. It's not much fun. The Fusion Reactor piece inside that module just does it for you. It's really neat. So yeah, but yeah. So that's Fusion Reactor. Again, don't miss the live stream. Check out what's new there. And if you're not using it currently, maybe it'd be a good reason to get in there and see why you should be using it. So very cool. Okay, so on to conferences now. So Adobe CF Summit East 2020, getting closer to that. They're going to be in DC Wednesday, April 22nd. The cost is complimentary, so make sure you guys sign up for that. If in the area, it's going to be I think 8 or 10 sessions that day. A lot of great content. Some of the community members as well. Luis will be there. I think he's working on a PWA app for the summit itself, and so he's going to be talking about how that's built as well.
A progressive PWA app for the web.
Yeah, progressive web app. So there'll be some other members too. I believe that if you go to the coldfusion.adobe.com portal, there's a link right there to go register, and it will send you to the carosoft.com site, which has the registration information, has information about the sessions and the speakers.
There's the link in the chat for that.
Yep. So
Renaissance, Washington, DC Downtown Hotel.
Yep. So it's a one-day event, but there is workshops before and after. So Adobe's going to be doing their ColdFusion specialist certification after the conference. So we helped with that in Vegas. That was a good certification class. So there is homework before that, though. So if you are going to go, sign up in advance. It'll be good to get that all those videos watched before you get there. And then you have a one-day classroom session. You go over the trickier pieces or the things that need better reinforcing, I guess, before you take that test. But it was a pretty good success rate, though. The people that did the videos and went to the workshop, I think they said there was over a 90% pass rate of the attendees. So
yeah. I see the side here says time subject to change. That's a little disconcerting. Like, how much might it change? Like, you get there and they're like, oh, it's tomorrow?
It says time subject to change, not date subject to change.
I don't know. Push the time back far enough. It's tomorrow.
Too funny. Yep, so that's their workshop there. And then Also, before, Luis is doing Build Secure MVC Cold Fusion Applications PreConference. And I just heard something yesterday in my top secret interview with Luis for the the Modernize or Die Conference Edition podcast, that if you go to the workshop in DC with CF Summit East, that there's actually a coupon that you'll get, and you'll get to go to, I believe, I'm trying to remember, I think he said you get to go to one of the workshops in Houston for free.
Ooh, one of Into the Box workshops?
Yeah. So if you go to
That's cool.
the CF Summit East, I believe he said it was free. I'm not sure if that's 1 day or 2 days or whatnot, but so even more reason to sign up for that. Now that's coming out. I believe they'll be blogging about it soon, so maybe I jumped the gun a little bit, but so keep an ear out for that.
You always hear the good stuff first here, don't you?
Yep, that's why it's called the news. But yeah, so if you sign up for that workshop, it's a 2-day workshop. It's $8.99 for the 2-day workshop, right before the 1-day conference for CF Summit East. But if you do that, like I said, there's going to be some perks that you get for Into the Box too. So definitely gives you extra reason to sign up for that.
This Build Secure MVC applications looks like all you need to have is a beginner to intermediate cold box knowledge. You need to have CommandBox CLI installed. That was easy. And some kind of local database server like MySQL. That's pretty much it.
Yep. And this is a slightly modified version of our Zero to Hero workshop. And so it's going to be focusing a little more on, secure. So there'll be some CB security pieces in there. So you're going to use a little more of CB security than the
looks like it's using QB a little bit too. Some query builders.
Yep. So so basically it's a more lockdown version. A lot of requests for government companies to have a little more security in their stuff. So that training workshop will be slight variation, but
I kind of like some of our trainings that we do that are a bit more opinionated. Because a lot of times it's kind of hard to do a cold box training because there's 8,000 possible ways you can do something. So it's like, you can use this module or don't, or use this module or don't, or use this setting or don't. Right, and sometimes people are like, just tell me how to do it. So some of these later trainings we've had, we're like, okay, this is the way you can do it. Use this, install this, boom, look how easy it is. If you don't like it all, you can figure out a different way. But I kind of like those because you're kind of building something from scratch that works, and it uses a collection of modules that you can decide if you like in the end. So they're fun to give those trainings, and it's fun to see people taking them.
Yep. So, again, if you go to ortussolutions.com, you'll see a blog on that and what
links in the chat here for our live stream viewers.
Cool. And then register, and we will give you the update on those coupon codes as soon as we get them out there. So that should allow you to basically get a discount when going to ITB, whether it's a free workshop or a discount. Like I said, I don't remember exactly, but it's another reason to listen to the Modern on the Dies Conference Edition, because I'll be releasing that this week. So we've got a couple of those, and we'll be doing workshop stuff there too. So that leads us into the Box 2020.
Yeah, I'm going to say, do you know what happens in 83 days, 19 hours, 43 minutes, and 27 seconds, Gavin?
What, Brad?
Intothebox.org.
Yep.
And the site looks pretty cool. We've got a DeLorean up there with flames shooting from the tires, or, the little skid marks, and got a city skyline with lightning. I love the UI on this site. I had nothing to do with it, which you can tell. Make my UIs in Paintbrush, baby. Microsoft Paint.
Yep. So the theme for this year is Back to the Future.
It is Back to the Future. We've been looking forward to this theme. We almost did it last year.
Which would have been more appropriate because wasn't last year the year that they traveled to in Back to the Future? They had all the...
Maybe. I saw so many memes. I forgot what the exact date was.
Yeah. But... so we're excited about this one. They were finalizing all the sessions. It is not up on the site yet. We're working on that. They're hoping to have it done by the end of the week. So hopefully sooner, but it should be there soon. But we have a lot of great content. The speakers are basically almost all of them have confirmed that they're going to be there, so we can release that information. We've got some traditional Cold Fusion community members. We got some people from outside the community too. We have a couple of speakers from big companies like OpenShift by Red Hat. We have a one of their people come in to talk to us as well. So it's not just the regulars. So it's going to be a great conference. Again, we spent so many hours trying to pick all these sessions, and it was not easy, was it, Brad?
No, it was really hard to do. So I noticed that we have two different Eventbrite registration options that both say best deal afterwards. They can't both be the best deal. Like one has to be like the best deal, and the other one's the best deal. We need people working on this, Gavin. When can this be fixed?
That's a good question. And to be honest, we need to see if we need to get those prices in the show notes updated, because that was the super early bird that we had listed. So I think the super early bird is over, so it's early bird time.
Ooh, so sad trombone if you missed it.
Yeah, so there were some super early bird prices, but still, the early bird prices is still a big discount. So please make sure you sign up soon if you're going to do that. The workshop descriptions will be listed here this week, as well as the session description, so you've got no excuse for getting those tickets. And we will be releasing podcasts with the trainers for the workshops here in the next couple of weeks as well, and we'll be doing some interviews with some of the speakers as well, so that way you guys can help pick your sessions and be ready for a great conference. So I'm looking forward to it. Got my flights booked. I'm ready. And then, like I said, as the workshops, we do have the 2 days of workshops this year. So if you don't want to take a 2-day workshop, the 2-day workshops are CommandBox 0 to Hero by me, and then the CommandBox Hero to Superhero API Edition by Luis. If you don't want to do that 2-day workshop, you can do one or more of the 1-day workshops. So we have...
You do 3 of the 1-day workshops?
You don't have that many days.
What if you use the DeLorean time machine and you go back and you'd have like the second day twice?
Well, as long as you were in the different room, you didn't run into yourself. I think that's the way it works.
Kind of like how Hermione and Harry Potter used the little, time thing to go back and take more classes. Just saying.
Pretty cool. Yep. So day 1 we have Intro to BDD by Brad Wood, containerizing CFML applications with John Clausen, Intro to Quick ORM with Eric Peterson. And then day 2, we're repeating Intro to BDD with you. Repeating the containerization of CFML applications with John Clausen. And then on the Elasticsearch, instead of the Quick, Eric is going to be helping Michael Bourne with the CB Elasticsearch. And then we also have Troubleshooting Common CF Lucy Server Challenges with Charlie Earhart. So we got a few more options there. So if you want to take... like Charlie's one and do BDD, you can do BDD on the first day, Charlie's on the second, or if you want to do Elasticsearch and containerization, you can mix and match them. You can do the same one twice if you want, but I'm not sure if you really want to see Brad 2 days in a row.
For punishment, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, if anybody shows up to my BDD class 2 days in a row, I'm just going to have them teach the class the second day. And be like, it's all you, go.
Yeah. Okay, so... that's that for Into the Box 2020. So all the information should be released this week in podcasts coming out very soon. We have other conferences that we're paying attention to, and one of them is DevNexus, and you and Luis will be there next week, right?
Yeah, we're leaving next week to go fly to Atlanta, Georgia, and we're doing some. I'm doing a Kubernetes training, a workshop in front of DevNexus, and then they have like 80,000 concurrent tracks of JVM goodness. It's more like 12 or 13, but it feels like a lot. So the Fusion Reactor guys will be there. In fact, I think Mikey will be there. Fluid from Fusion Reactor, the guy who's doing the podcast here in half an hour. So it's always fun to run into them out there selling their wares to the greater Java crowd, because of course Fusion Reactor is an excellent just Java performance tuning kind of tool. It's not specific to Cold Fusion, so they fit right in out there at the DevNexus kind of Java-centric conference.
Yep. And then we have ViewConf will be in March 2nd to 4th at the Austin Convention Center. And then DockerCon will be a virtual conference this year. I don't know if they're still having it in June as they originally planned or not, but we'll be seeing information about that. And if there's any other conferences you guys go to, let us know. We can add them to the list here. Or if you're looking for a conference, go to confs.tech, and they have a whole bunch of conferences for all over the world for different types. So if you're looking for something in your area, they surely will have something. So, okay, let's get into the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week.
We have Ben Dell up first, exploring tag islands. Somebody had pointed this out to him the other day. I forget who it was.
I think it was Gert, actually. They had lunch earlier, and he's going to have a blog post about that.
Okay, yeah. So tag islands, I remember, they talked about this forever ago. I think back when we actually had the Lucy tag, the technical advisory group, and it was implemented a while back, but I think it came out in 5.3.1. But tag islands are basically, if you're in CF script, either inside CF script blocks or just a full script-based CFC, and you want to throw some tags in, you can basically do 3 backticks, kind of like you do for a code block in Markdown. And then anything inside of those 3 backticks, start and end, are simply interpreted as tag content, whatever you want. So if you have a script-based CFC and you want to do just a good old-fashioned CF query, you can just throw a little tag island in there in the middle of the ocean of script, and you can throw just a good old-fashioned CF query tag inside of it. I doubt that any of the IDEs actually parse this correctly.
Yeah.
It's just a Lucy only thing. I don't believe Adobe. I don't even know if Adobe has a ticket for something like this. It's pretty cool though. If you ever have a good use for tags, and it doesn't have to be Cold Fusion tags. As the first code example in Ben's post here shows, it can just be HTML. So it's the equivalent of doing echo or write output and having a string. But if you have a function that outputs some HTML to the page buffer, you can just throw a little tag island in there and just have all your output, assuming of course that output equals true, hasn't been changed. But it's a fun little feature of Lucy.
Yep, and I think someone did test that you can have a script block and a tag island inside of a script thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it nests infinitely.
I think someone went down 5 levels and that was enough for me.
Yeah,
I believe you.
That's the kind of stuff I sort of expect from Lucy, stuff like that kind of just works. A lot of times in Cold Fusion, you try stuff like that it kind of feels like it should work, and it's like, oh no, we only implemented that one level, and you're like, oh come on, seriously. It's just pretty cool though.
Yeah. So, yeah, go check that out if you want to learn a little more about how those tag islands work. Thanks, Ben, for that. And then Gray Desmond stumbled upon CFML badges, and so he wrote a blog post about that. He was catching up on some old Modernize or Die podcasts. So,
that's Matt Gifford's site.
Yep.
Right?
So we talked about this, back in November, and so he found it. So I thought it would be a good reminder for everybody who might have missed that episode. The CFML badges are pretty cool. So
my arrays start at 1.
Yep.
I love that one.
Yeah, or I can bench press Ben Dell. There's a badge for that too. Not sure who can claim that badge.
I visited Ray Camden's Amazon wish list. Who hasn't, right?
Yeah. So yeah, lots of cool badges on there. Some pretty good ones. And so thanks, Gray, for putting that on the portal so people who don't listen to the podcast can see that too. And we have a blog from Pete Freitag too. So he's talking about using same-site cookies with Apache. So I guess with Chrome 80, I think Chrome 80 came out, but all the cookie madness has not come out yet. But it's going to be doing some interesting things with cookies. But yeah, so same-site cookies. Basically, Pete wrote a little script here just to help make sure all your cookies are same-site cookies.
Yeah, and can you explain what same-site cookies are for people that are like, what the heck are they talking about?
Well, that's a good question, actually. I know that there's same-site cookies only allows, isn't it, JavaScript to just touch them if they're on the same site but not the same subdomain. I always forget how these work. All I know is that there's ways you can open up your cookie to be more accessible to different places and ways to lock them down, and the same site cookies is a requirement for a lot of the security scanners. So
yeah, because I believe the Chrome 80 changes that I've been hearing people complain about affect sites that have subdomains that all share the same cookie across them, and I think the same site set and affects that. But I'll be honest, I haven't looked into the same site cookies a ton to know all the examples of it.
Yeah, so Pete's got this little piece you can add to your Apache configuration just to add same site to all your cookies there.
Yeah. So it looks for any JSession ID cookie and then it adds same site equals lax.
Yeah, and so that makes it
Tell me how that's
relaxed, I
supposed to be
guess.
more secure.
Well, yeah,
Anytime you're setting something to lax, it's like, wait, what?
yeah. But I know that a lot of the places will just not find the cookie at all, and yeah, cookies are crazy. And like I said, with the Chrome 80 stuff that's coming out, basically subdomain cookies won't work. You can't use wildcards in them anymore, so you have to be real specific. Which
We need to talk about this war on cookies, man. First, I can't remember the acronym. The oh, geez.
GDPR.
Thank you, that one. First, you have that, and this site uses cookies. What? Okay, sure. And now same site. Somebody has it out for these cookies.
Yeah, cookies are.
That's it. I think we're all going back to putting CFID and CF token back in the URL. The writing's on the wall, man. These cookies were a fun fad, but they're not going to make it.
I know. People freak out so much over cookies. I'm like, you shouldn't be putting anything interesting in your cookie anyway. Like, what's the big deal? But anyway, so
Ooh, a blog post from Computer Know How.
yep, Nathaniel Francis was being
Frank Inath.
yeah.
That's his username he always uses.
Yeah, so Nathaniel, they've been pretty busy outside the Cold Fusion world lately by the look of it, doing a lot of JavaScript and everything. And so this blog post is talking about using JavaScript class method chaining. So he's basically talking about how to use classes as a syntactic sugar element in modern JavaScript. So
Sugar.
yeah,
Like
so
sugar.
it was pretty interesting that you know, how they use the classes, and sort of as that DSL component. We use that a lot with Cold Fusion. We add all those DSL methods and use some trickiness to be able to do some chaining. So this is basically what he does inside of JavaScript. So since objects are prototype based, they're not really class based. He sort of shows how he works with them. So it's pretty interesting. I need to go through this a little more. I kind of cheat with Vue.js and a couple other things and keep it pretty simple. But one of the new features in JavaScript, those classes, something I want to learn a little more about. There's so much new stuff in JavaScript, it's hard to keep up sometimes. But it was a nice blog post. So yeah, you guys should check that out, especially if you're doing a lot of JavaScript stuff. But method chaining is cool. I'll say that much.
There you go.
We have another one from Benedal, using tags in CF script in Lucy. So this is where he met with Gert, the creator of Lucy, the co-creator, I guess, of Lucy.
How's that different than the first post we had?
Well, this one is actually, he talks about how you can just chop the CF off the front of most tags and it'll work in script.
Oh, I see. So this isn't the tag island. This is just talking about the. There, look, there's a picture of Ben and Gert.
Yep.
This is just talking about the generic tag and script syntax.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always really disappointed that Adobe didn't do what Lucy did here.
They did in the end, though.
No, they didn't. Lucy supports what Adobe supports, but Adobe doesn't support what Lucy does.
Okay, I thought they just chopped it off too, and I was like, "That's lazy, guys." Like,
no, it was some stupidity where like Adobe had implemented their version, which is CF tag name, open close parentheses, commas between the parameters. It looks like a function, but it's not really a function. Everybody hates it. They had implemented that internally as like one of their alphas or something. And before that came out publicly, Lucy implemented their version, which was get rid of the CF. It's just tag name, no parentheses. It's not a function, no commas between the parameters. And then, of course, curly braces if you have a body name, which I like a lot more. And so Lucy had that like out in production by the time Adobe got around to like coming out with their public betas of whatever version of Cold Fusion they did this in. And everybody was like, hey, Adobe, why can't you do what Lucy did? And Adobe was like, well, we already had ours months ago in our private betas and we're not going to change it. So then, of course, for compatibility, Lucy put in compatibility with Adobe's CF tag name, parenthesis, I'm not really a function nonsense. But I really kind of hate that one because it doesn't return a value. It looks like a function and it smells like a function, but it's not really a function.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely like the Lucy stuff here, which is what Ben's demoing. It's just cleaner. The only somewhat annoying thing about Lucy's implementation is it's one of the few places where you need to have a semicolon at the end, because semicolons are optional in Lucy and Adobe now. But if you have Lucy's tag syntax, which doesn't have the parentheses around the parameters, you have, like Ben's example, log space text equals blah space type equals warning. And then if you don't have a semicolon there, if you had white space or line breaks, the compiler wouldn't know if type equals warning was a parameter to the CF log tag, or if type equals warning was just a random variable declaration on a secondary line. So the only benefit to Adobe's syntax, which is really more an accident in my opinion, is that the parentheses around the parameters make it so the semicolon can still be optional, because the parser can figure out where the tag definition ends. But anyway, random little side note on how those work.
Yeah. So again, for those who didn't know, and I didn't know the difference, so thanks, Brad, for educating me and everybody else. You can always count on Brad for that.
Always good for some kind of useless information.
That's not always useless. So we also mentioned the Fusion Reactor release blog. So the 8.3 release notes are in there as well. So we put that in there. And then we have another one by Ben Adele. And this one talks about his best practices for using launch darkly feature flags. And so in some of the other pieces of or previous blog posts, he talks about using launch darkly for feature flagging their Lucy app and their actual I think they're using Angular too, so their app there. But I thought it was pretty interesting. Feature flags is something we should probably use a little more often, and I haven't really used them very much, apart from some really ghetto pieces that you might throw in there. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how he uses those feature flags with launch darkly and find out more about it.
I've used feature flags for things, but I've never felt like I need a freaking framework just for a feature flag. It's just a Boolean you flip on and off. If I'm writing a CommandBox app, which is like all my apps, I just use the built-in setting structure that's a part of every CommandBox app, the built-in get setting method, which is just magically available everywhere in your app. And if I have a feature I want to have off and turn on per environment or turn on per user, I just put it in the CommandBox setting and just do get setting in it. Like why do I need a framework for that? Or not a framework, but like a library to manage my Boolean flags. But I don't know. That's just me. I've always felt that was kind of weird. I mean, I guess if you're not using the framework and you don't have like this handy mechanism of settings just at your fingertips, then I guess you might have to use an entire library to manage it. But I've always thought it was weird to have a dedicated library when I already use a framework that has an entire mechanism for storing settings, overriding them per environment, et cetera, and then getting access to them anywhere I want. So
yeah. And
that's all I ever do. I just create a CommandBox setting for it, and then I put it where I need it.
That's what I've been doing too, and that's what I'm sort of curious about, how he's using it and whatnot, and when the time to, switch. Maybe there's some features in there that we don't know we need yet or whatnot. So
no, you need.
Yep, one of those things. So anyway, I just thought it'd be something useful for a lot of people, so we've included that one in there as well.
I mean, I would definitely at least recommend people look into feature flags for certain, because I mean, that's what lets you iterate on software and not have that 6-month lag where we're like, oh, we can't release because our development branch isn't in a state to go to production and now everything's a hot fix. Feature flags are the magic that let you have features pushed into production months before they're ready, but they're all hidden behind a feature flags or just turned off. So I mean, I definitely love the idea. So whether or not you use a library, definitely check out his post and just get an idea for what you do with it, because it's definitely underused, I would say. Put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Now, here's a name we haven't heard in a while, have we, Brad? Nathan Strutz.
Woo!
So,
old one, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not calling Nathan old, just saying he's been around for a while.
Yeah, so when did he leave? Back in 2012, maybe?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll have to look on his site to see when he said, see ya, CFML. But, so he had an interesting blog post about lines of code.
Yeah. I love this quote right at the top. Measuring programming progress by lines of code is like measuring aircraft building progress by weight.
That's by Bill Gates, too.
Yeah, it's a quote from Bill Gates. It's a good point. Yeah.
It's pretty funny because Nathan Strutz works for an airplane manufacturer now. So he says, we actually know the final delivery weight of an airplane, adjusted for paint and sealing arrangements. But yeah, but basically it's an interesting blog post, and maybe if it's something that, your organization or even clients, want to know how many lines of code you're going to write or whatever, maybe this blog post might be useful for sharing with them and educating them. That doesn't really help, know if a project's done. As he says, when when the features are done and the bugs are worked out, or it's making, saving enough time and money to make it, worth using now. That's usually how software is done compared to a plane.
I can't say I've ever worked with a company that cared about lines of code, but I could imagine larger government or corporate things saying we need to have some standard by which to measure what our developers are doing. I know, we'll count the lines of code. That'll tell us what they've been up to.
Yeah,
I could totally see someone who doesn't understand programming thinking that.
Yeah, that was interesting, and it talks about different options, but basically, yeah, the only thing lines of code tells you is how many lines of code there is.
It tells you how many potential bugs you have.
Yeah.
You have 2 million lines of code that may be wrong.
Well, that's the thing, is a comment a line of code? Is an empty line a line of code? What do you count? So, anyway. So, I thought it was interesting, worth sharing, so you guys can read that and tell us what you think. But we also had a tweet from James Moberg, and it mentioned Blue Dragon, which caught my attention. I haven't heard of that name for a little while. So he says, even though Open Blue Dragon hasn't received an update since 2014, I do like how they have their documentation organized. They said they even have a Chrome extension, and so he said he's considering porting some of the unique CFML functions. So this is kind of cool. There's a lot of things out there we use, and it would be nice to maybe bring over some of these unique ones. I know doing the Code Wars, we have our own Slack channel now, people, in Code Wars in the Box team. But there's certain things that we're using in JavaScript ones, and that doesn't exist in Cold Fusion. We should try and add that or whatnot. So I think it's kind of cool to bring over those different CFML functions, and it'd be kind of fun to get them into Lucy for sure. The other option, obviously, is to build a library that I know CF Collections, the one that Eric worked on before, where you could basically instantiate a collection from a struct or an array or whatnot, and then it had all these extra, syntactical sugar, as Nathaniel put it, methods for making things, just easy to work with, etc. So,
I wonder how Blue Dragon creates their docs or created their docs. I wonder if it's based on some kind of metadata in the code.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This is cool. They have a CF mapping tag that creates mappings. And that'd be so nice, because I have all kinds of hacky workarounds I've had to write inside of CommandBox and CommandBox to do this, and it's different in every Adobe version. Is different on Lucy because there's not a consolidated tag that everybody just does.
Yeah.
OpenBD had some cool stuff. It's a shame they kind of never really caught on usage-wise, and they died out. I'm not sure who's in charge of them.
Yeah.
Who hosts this stuff still.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the docs were always really nice, though, as far as just the way they were organized.
Yeah, so we could always learn something from them, and like I said, I'm curious to see what unique functions that they have that James is interested in migrating over, so could be cool to see. We also have one from Benedell, a blog about trying to debug deadlocks when trying to get a lock, restarting transaction, show up in Lucy. So this was really interesting. I haven't dealt with MySQL stuff too much, where dealing with deadlocks and debugging and that type of stuff, but he was doing some interesting stuff, including returning the process list back into the query metadata. And I'd never seen that before. I thought that's pretty interesting, and I was kind of curious, does that happen all the time or not? But one of those things where it'd be really useful to see, but I can also see if that is returned more often than not, that maybe it would be something that could inflate your metadata significantly. We're at the point where, I don't know, I'm just thinking if I'm running a lot of queries at the same time, that might be a pretty huge process list.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it every time. I've done a lot of troubleshooting on deadlocks with SQL Server, but not really on MySQL. What I've actually written before in the past for SQL Server was just kind of like a separate monitor page that would give me a nice little HTML visualization of all the processes running on my SQL Server, and it would show me what processes had blocks or had locks that were blocking the other processes.
Yeah, he also included a debug statement which showed up in the process list, so he could add a little debug statement in there, and that would show up. And then when he was looking at the process list, he knew exactly what query was doing what, and so it was kind of like
cool.
a little comment. So I hadn't seen that, so I thought this was really interesting.
Well, the problem with deadlocks is always, you get it in production under load, and you can always never figure out like exactly what was running at the time. So getting kind of debugging information like this is a pretty cool approach to kind of doing your post-mortem analysis on it. Otherwise, you're kind of just scratching your head trying to figure out.
Yeah, and of course, he said he found something that'll actually give you information about the lock, but the time you run it, it's too late.
Really, see, SQL in SQL Server, you can run the it's a profiler trace. You can run a trace, and you can tell it to listen for deadlocks, and it'll give you a bunch of information about what two processes deadlocked, what they were doing, and why. But you have to have that trace running ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's not something you can run like after the fact. So
Yeah.
it's always the problem with deadlock is like, how do you get the information after the fact? And a lot of times there's not any good information.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, really interesting. I learned a lot of stuff in that one. I'm glad we don't get too many of these deadlock issues ourselves.
They're definitely hard to troubleshoot.
Cool. And then so after that, we had a tweet from Code Wars, and they said,
Code Wars,
ask and you shall receive. And so they tagged a whole bunch of people that were helping us to bug them, and they said Code Wars now officially supports Cold Fusion CFML. So yeah,
that is cool. I like that it had some caught the attention of people saying, "OMG, this is my first coding language ever. I'm so stoked." So
yeah, it was pretty interesting, and I guess one of the people who said that, he runs a YouTube channel called Code Fights.
yeah,
And so he'll actually get coders and give them a challenge, and they have like 15 minutes to complete this challenge or whatever. And so I guess somebody volunteered me and Michael Bourne for that as a remote thing because of the live code. But yeah, so I don't know, we may see a Cold Fusion version of that, but I've never seen Code Fights before. But I guess usually they have them in person, and they have like 4 or 5 people, trying to do it. So I might have to go check that out. But yeah, it was
that'd be cool if they
interesting.
put like big boxing gloves on you and you're actually punching the other person while they're writing code. CFF, LSF. I might pay money for that.
That's
Maybe Gert's listening. That can be a new CF camp after party.
Well, that's why we don't let Brad organize the after parties.
Code in your sumo suit.
Yep. And then for those of you who missed the CF snippets last week that went live, Gray Desmond posted that on the Cold Fusion portal, so you can find a little more about it. So that's Michael Bourne's snippets tool. And so it's open source. You guys can actually submit pull requests to it and add some of your own snippets in there. And we got some big plans for it. I talked to Michael about ideas, and I think one of the coolest thing is we should definitely add VS Code support, so you could actually pull up CF snippets in there, filter them and search them, and then be able to just use it straight in VS Code. That'd be pretty neat. So I made him add that to the roadmap. And then we have that blog post from Keyshore, the Developer Week and Q1 Roadshows. So the other thing we didn't mention in the news section is that part of their Java Community Outreach Program, they're going to be a sponsor at Developer Week, which is this week, so 12th to the 16th. They're actually going to be held in the Oakland Convention Center in Oakland. And Alicia's going to be there talking about CF and microservices. And so they actually have some open passes that can be claimed from this the URL that Brad's going to share in the show notes. But so yeah, so if you guys are in the area and you want to did the post?
I think so.
Oh. So yeah, but yeah, if you get in, if you need a pass for that there, and you're going to be in the area, Alicia should be there. You guys can go touch base with her as well. Check that out.
So what exactly is Developer Week? Is it just a conference?
Yeah, it's a conference. It's got a bunch of stuff. I mean, it looks pretty huge. And so I checked it out. Been pretty busy lately myself, so I'm not sure I can travel up there. But
in Oakland, well, it's in 5 hours. So if you get in your car right now, you may make it.
Yeah, but it's the rest of the week. I think it's the 12th through the 16th. So, but there's
their website says 0 days, 5 hours, man.
Well, it's probably the kickoff party or something.
It might be workshops or something.
Yep.
Developer Week. So Alicia's talking. basically just has like a session. I was just curious, like to what extent Adobe was doing stuff here.
I think they have a booth or something too, so you can go meet them.
Okay. I mean, I was just curious if they had any like opportunities to like, show people Cold Fusion and stuff like that. So, because I mean, her talk is microservices architecture, trends and challenges, which does sound like a cool talk. I'm just thinking like, is Adobe doing stuff that, lets people like see Cold Fusion? But maybe they'll have some of that stuff at their booth. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what they're doing.
So if anyone's in the area, definitely go check it out. It looks like a great conference, and they have a few passes that can be claimed, they said. So
we should add this to our watch list for next year's conferences. Maybe we can submit some CFML talks.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so do they specialize in a certain type of language, or are they just like
They have a big mixture of everything, from what I could tell.
They have an entire bullet called JavaScript conference, so obviously they're big on that.
And
everything else is kind of fluffy: API, microservices, cloud native, AI, machine learning, blah blah.
Well, this one. I think they have several different conferences throughout the year in different locations, if I remember right.
Oh, kind of like a little traveling deal.
Yeah, so I think they're later on in the year. I believe they're going to be in Texas in November or something. So, yeah.
Okay.
So Developer Week, it's interesting. So pretty decent size conference. Lots of tracks, lots of great content.
Have to go crash that baby and drop some Cold Fusion bombs. Sup, baby? Cold Fusion.
Yep. Okay, we also had a tweet from Lucy. So they wanted you to know that they send out a monthly newsletter with the latest Lucy update. So if you want to, you can go check out previous versions or go subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get all the monthly updates, so you can know what's going on and what you can play with. So we have links to that tweet there, and you can go check that out.
Cool.
Okay, so just a reminder for those of you, the coding challenge of the month this month, February 2020. Basically, what we want you to do is to go to ForgeBox and install the CFML challenge app, and then basically get all the tests to pass. So we're going to be working on some submissions for you later, so you can actually make a pull request of your updates, and then as we update new tests, new challenges, you can actually update the module itself by doing a box install. It'll see that the challenge module itself has been updated, and will update for you. But it's basically a simple little code kata type setup, so you can go in there and basically make this function pass. And if you get all the tests to pass, we'll put you in the drawer for $25 gift certificate. So make sure you complete the tests. Don't just delete the tests.
So, yeah, it says completing them, not cheating. What do we do if you cheat? We come and cut your fingers off?
Well, the way we're going to have them submit is basically they're going to submit their CFC, which has the solution in it. So it'll run against our test. So if they delete their test and it passes, when they submit it to ours, it won't.
It's still going to fail.
Yep. So we're going to try and hook up something so they can just, submit it as a pull request through GitHub or something like that, and we can have the tests automatically run as part of our build process. So Michael and myself will be working on that in the next couple of weeks, and so that way before the end of the month it'll be ready. You can submit your stuff, and then we can see if you actually get them all to pass or not.
I love it.
So
what kind of jobs do we have this week, Gavin?
Well, we got quite a few. There's 34 positions that are currently active and listed from 24 companies, 23 locations in 5 countries. We've got 4 new ones. So it looks like we got a full-time Cold Fusion developer in Frederick, MD, and that was just posted on the 10th. And we have a full-time intermediate Cold Fusion developer in Edmonton, Canada. We've got a couple in Canada.
Pretty much all these are full-time. That's nice.
Yep, we have one contract one right now. So a Cold Fusion developer in Richland. That's Washington. So one contract job there, and then we have a full-time senior Cold Fusion developer for a remote company, and that's in the United States. We don't actually have the state on that one. Let me click and see if it has more
a remote
information.
company. Is the name of the company actually like quote remote, or does it just mean like we're not going to tell you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm looking at the full detail.
Location remote, comma United States. I wonder if this is a recruiter or something.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. No, if you click on more details, the Indeed.com listing appears to have a lot more information than what CFML jobs pulled in.
Yeah, so it looks like it's Ansera. So I'm not sure who they are. It says you can
Apparently, they're
work
the leading
remote.
market technology and services firm.
Yeah, data and results. So yeah, so there's some good opportunities there, and these are just the new ones. There are additional ones that are still listed there, so go check those out for sure. If you're looking for a job, and obviously you can list your job postings on getcfmljobs.com as well, and it does scrape from the big suppliers as well. Okay, let's get into the ForgeBox module of the week. So this week we're gonna add a CommandBox one. So CommandBox
Have
module.
I even seen this one?
I think you mentioned it last week, but
Yeah, it's pretty new.
So Abram Adams submitted this CommandBox Console Pretty.
Yes.
And so it's just a simple
That's right,
module.
because we were helping Abram get this guy posted because his Unicode emoji characters blew up our poor MySQL database when he tried to publish this package.
Yep.
Sad trombone.
Yeah, we're working on that, but yeah, there's some weird issue with emojis in the version of MySQL that we're running, and so sometimes that will blow things up. But yeah, so
I need to like start using this in CommandBox, because I have, there's several commands in CommandBox that output like this little box of asterisks or something with text in the middle, like the info command. I always just do it manually. You count the number of characters and you subtract from the length and blah blah blah, repeat string. This is kind of nice.
Yep. So the module just draws a bordered message box when you're pushing stuff out to the console. So it can accept a string or an array of strings to print inside the box as well. Word wrapping is on by default, but he also mentions hint even empty strings are considered a separate line. So just be aware of that. But
all right, CommandBox 5. Every single message is going to have a box around it. Boom.
Yep. So if you want to use that, just box install console pretty, and then you can use that inside your CommandBox commands. So
so
cool.
you could basically include this as a dependency of a module that you were writing that made commands, which I have a feeling is probably what he was doing.
Yep. Top secret, I'm sure, but pretty cool.
Secret.
So so that's the module of the week. Go check it out. I got to play with a little bit of CommandBox commands last week on site, which is fun. I need to do more of that, so I might have to add that in too.
I know, we were doing some crazy stuff with task runners and such. I actually added, I should have tweeted about it. Maybe I did. I added a couple new CommandBox commands when we were on site last week because I needed them for something I was doing. I added a sort command, which Bash does, which is handy if you have like a list of files or names and you want to sort them in the output. And I added a, what did I add? What was the other one? Oh, unique. Bash has a unique command. Of course, they spell it UNIQ because I guess the UE is way too much typing to do. I had a use case where I was, gathering a list of files from a directory, or actually it was from a database input initially, and I wanted to just get a unique list. And so there's a unique command that'll be in the next version of the CommandBox, but I spelled out the whole word, that you can just pipe your input through that, and it'll take out all the duplicates. So,
yeah, pretty cool. Okay. So
VS Code?
VS Code, hence tips and tricks of the week. So this one is called Local History by XYZ, and it was recommended by James Moberg. So we're getting some of the listeners to the show actually submit some recommendations for these, which is cool. And so this is a Visual Studio Code plugin for maintaining local histories of your file. So every time you modify a file, what it's doing is it's putting a copy of the old contents in a local history. There's actually a folder that it keeps track of them all. So if you rename files, make a change, delete a file by accident, the history, basically the history section has a little tab that you can see the different versions of a file. You can go back and see the differences. So
if you accidentally blow away a file, but you hadn't committed your previous changes, so doing a git revert isn't an option, then you can use this local history thing to see what it was 10 minutes ago or whatever.
Yeah, so I thought that's kind of cool. Yeah, because a lot of times, we commit our code to source control and everything, but not when we're in the middle of something. We'll try stuff and debug and you mess around, and all of a sudden you delete something or you cut it out and save the file, and you copy something else, you
Yeah.
tossed it, and I'm like, oh.
I used to run into the Control Z limit that CF Builder had. By default, you could only Control Z like 20 times or something.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'd be like, oh crap, I deleted a chunk of code earlier today and didn't realize it. And I hold down Control Z and it goes back like 5 minutes and stops. I'm like, I haven't committed my code in a while. I lost my change.
Yeah.
So this
might
would
become
come in handy.
So yeah, it's had 135,000 installs or whatnot. It's got 4 stars, but yeah, just another cool little tool that might be useful for you. Obviously, if it's putting it in a certain folder, make sure that's ignored from your Git, your workspace, so you don't commit all those files, because that would get pretty big pretty fast. But yeah, so there we go.
All right, and that brings us to our sponsors. We're all out of content.
Yep. So our Patreon supporters, yeah, because we got to get ready and head over to watch that Fusion Reactor live stream in a minute here.
Ooh, actually, I'm on my way to help with some Valentine's Day parties at school, so I'm gonna have to watch the Fusion Reactor live stream after the fact. So you'll have to give Mikey some heck for me, okay?
Okay, we'll do.
Give him a hard time in my absence.
Yep. So thanks all the Patreon supporters for all the different levels that you support us on, but it definitely helps our open source projects. All the money from our Patreon goes straight into that, so thank you. So thanks Andrew Davis, Brian White, Calvin Stedden, Dali, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, David Ballinger, Didier Lesnicki, Don Bellamy, Eric Hoffman, Gary Knight, Jan Yannick, Jeremy Adams, John Farrar, Jordan Clark, Joseph Lamory, Laxma Tedohari, Matthew Clemente, Richard Herbert, Samuel Knowlton, Scott Steinbeck, VJ, and Yogesh Mathur. So, thank you
guys
everybody.
Directly sponsor Gavin's private yacht, and any leftovers goes right into open source.
Yeah, very funny. But if you guys can go to autosolutions.com/about-us/sponsors to see all of our sponsors, and you can find out more about becoming a Patreon sponsor. And remember, just because the big packages say that you could be on the podcast right now, we're basically thanking all of our supporters until we get more of those big ticket supporters. So thanks everybody, and everyone have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, bye-bye.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.or.die.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.